So today we're doing Module 4, Lesson 2, and we're kind of changing topics. We're not learning about line plots anymore. So if you weren't here yesterday and you didn't learn the line plot lesson, you really want to make sure you watch the video or practice on Zern Lesson 4.1, okay? But let's review what we know about line plots to talk about today's problem of the day. Okay, here's how we might use a picture to show 2 divided by 2. Here's one unit, and here's another unit, right? We're starting with 2 units. Do you agree? That's our whole. We want to split it into how many equal groups? 2. So here's one equal group, and here's another equal group. Do you agree? Okay. So how many how many would be in each group, by the way? 1. So we know that the answer is 1, right? The quotient would be 1 because there's 1 unit in each group. But let's write it now in unit form. This is the part that we need to really learn because this is the new part for us. I'm going to write the unit form in 2 because first draw a picture to show the division. Then it says write a division expression using unit form. So when we began, we had 2, what were the units? 2 ones, right? And we wanted to split it into 2 groups. And so how many? We ended up with 1, what? 1 in each group. What's the unit there? Ones. The word ones is the unit. Okay. Then it says express your answer as a fraction. Well, 1 is the answer as a fraction, right? Yeah. Very good. Now let's try that again, but this time it's a little bit different. We want to do 1 divided by 2. So this time I only have 1 unit to begin with. Okay, but I want to split it in half. So this would be 1/2, and this would be 1/2. Do you agree? Okay. Now if I want to write it in unit form, I still have 2 of something. But what do I have this time? I have 2 halves. And here's how you spell halves. Do you see how this is 1/2 and this is 1/2? So all together I begin with 2 halves. I'm still dividing it into 2 equal groups, and I end up with 1/2. So this time the unit is halves. How do I write 1/2 as a fraction? Well, 1/2. So here's where we draw a picture. Here's the unit form. And here's expressing our answer as a fraction. Now, here we have 2 units, 1 unit and 2 units. And I want to split each one into 3 equal parts. So here's 1, 2, 3 equal parts for that unit. And here's 1, 2, 3 equal parts for that unit. Do you see that? Okay. Now, if I'm going to split that into 3 equal parts, would you agree that here's 1, right? If 3 people are going to share those 2 cookies, each person could have, that first person could have 1/3 of the first cookie and 1/3 of the second cookie. Do you see that? Yeah. Okay. The second person could have another third of the first cookie and a third of the second cookie. And the third person could have the last third and the last third. Do you see that? So how many parts would each person get? 2/3. Let's write it in unit form. How big is 1 unit now? It's a third. How many units did we start out with? How many thirds do we start out with? 6. You can see here's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. So we start with 6/3. We want to split it into 3 equal groups. And so how many would each person get? The blue person gets how many thirds? Here's 1/3 and another third. The red person also gets 1/3, 2/3. The yellow person gets 3/3, 1/3, 2/3, right? So how many thirds would be in each group? 2/3. How do I write 2/3 as a fraction? 2/3. Okay. Let's try another one. 3 divided by 2. Okay. This time, we're starting with how many units? Or how many wholes? 3 wholes, right? And we have to split each one into how many groups? Half, right? So I'm going to split each one into halves. Okay. Now, how many halves? Let's write the unit form. How many halves do I have to begin with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 halves. And when I split it into how many equal groups? 2. Okay, so if I do that, how many halves? If there's 6 halves and I want to split it into 2 equal groups, how many halves does each group get? 3. So 3 halves. It'd be like this is one group, right? And this right here is another group. Do you see how each group gets 3 of the half pieces? So how do I write 3 halves as a fraction?
3/6.
3 over 2. Okay, cool. Let's talk about some patterns here, okay? When I wanted to divide by 2, do you guys see over here? What's my divisor? 2, right? When I divide by 2, what's the unit? Halves. Huh. When I divide by 2 here, what's the units? Halves. When I divided by 3 here, what's the units? Oops. It didn't come through, but it was 6 what? Thirds. Divided by 2 equals 2 thirds, right? Okay. So if I divide by 4, what's the units going to be? Fourths. If I divide by eighths, what will the units be? Eighths. Huh, okay. So that's one pattern, right? What's another pattern I noticed? Well, 2 divided by 2 was 1, also 2 over 2. 1 divided by 2 became 1 over 2. 2 divided by 3 became 2 over 3. And 3 divided by 2 became 3 over 2. Talk at your table groups. What pattern do you notice? We're seeing how pictures and unit form prove to you that a fraction is just a division sentence, isn't it? Okay?